been scarred and I've been bruised. I have learned just what to do. I need to leave my past behind me. I need to look to the future. No matter what will come, no matter what I've done, I know just what to do. And that's all because of you.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ms Z Mavumengwana and I feel like it's a good place to start to issue a word of thanks. Thank you, thank you, thank you to the warm embrace we are receiving on these streets. Thank you to everybody that is showing us love, to everybody that is telling us how we can improve. You know, we welcome the feedback because the feedback tells us that in order for you to enjoy this experience, this is what we need to do. And already that's an investment into our future journey. And we really appreciate it. So don't shy away from telling us what topics you'd like to hear, what you are liking about it so we can make it better, what you think we should add to make the experience even better. To the people that are engaging, thank you, really appreciate you. Share widely, tag people that you think would benefit from the content. Come back to it after you've learned a couple of lessons, and actually it always resonates differently when you actually have retaken it after you've observed those things take place in your life. Last time I was here, I shot the What's Childhood Gotta Do With It video, and it fits very nicely into the content I have for you guys today. So if you're bumping into us for the first time and you're seeing my face on the screen for the first time, you don't have to watch back to the intro, but it would help if you at least watched the video that precedes this one, titled What's Childhood Gotta Do With It. And the topic today, as promised, is the dissonance of adulting. And I'm excited about it, heavy-hearted about it, because I think most of the people that are already on the channel are people that are in the adult space, different phases of adulthood, but the market that exists at this time, the demography is there, that they're adults. So these are the people that I'm talking to at the moment. And for concept definition, so we're all on the same page, I think I want to explain the feeling of dissonance, and subjectively, not just explain it as if it's coming from a textbook, but how actually it feels like to be in a dissonant place and what dissonance means, and then explain what informs wanting to talk about the dissonance of adulting. And dissonance in the terms of my profession, in the terms of my space, is that internal conflict and turmoil and hardship that you experience on the inside of you when something contradicts that which you believe. And I think most of us can relate an isolated time where something that was so core, so embedded and so inherent is directly contrasted, and you can feel the collapse of the old view and struggling to marry it with the new view. And it's just this, toss and turn inside of trying to find an integrative stance that can be the new stance, or sometimes dismissing the new information so you can hold the old information, or letting go of the old information so you can embrace the new information. But dissonance tells us that we strive for internal consistency. We behave in ways that are in accordance with how we think and how we believe and what we value. And we try our best to make sure it always matches. There's always inner peace inside where you behave the way in line with the things that you think and in line with the things that you believe. And dissonance happens when that is not in line. When something happens and it's not coming nicely with the stuff that you already believe, or you behave in ways that are inconsistent with what you believe. We see this with the guilt we experience, with the confusion we experience, with the shame we experience. Dissonance subjectively does not feel nice. It does not feel okay. Why am I calling it the dissonance of adulting? I think if you were with us in the previous video that said What's Childhood Gotta Do With It, you will have great context of how we frame a child and what we think is going on in childhood. And we talk of adulthood in exciting terms, and we severely underestimate the bit of it that is the termination of childhood. Because remember, for a large part of your development, you are a child, and coming out of it and fully embracing adulthood implies that childhood has somewhat been terminated, and nothing about termination has ever felt okay. But if you've terminated that and jumping into this with all of those beliefs that you bring with you, what is the experience then of adult life? Because I will tell you what is going to happen in adulting. Because for the first time, the pool of where you get information is suddenly wider. The comforting thing about being a child is that there's a restriction in terms of who influences you and who tells you what to do. It's home, it's school, and maybe, your peer relationships. But there's such a restriction in terms of what is incoming, and therefore it's likely to be solid. You believe what you believe, and that's that on that. And then you encounter adult life, and suddenly sources of information are so much bigger. So without a doubt, some of the beliefs you hold about self, about other people, about the world are for the first time coming under direct contrast. Adult life will disprove everything you thought you believed. It will call it into question, it will invalidate it, and you're forever engaging in this tug of war of deciding which one am I keeping, which one really was true, which one is absolutely false. You remember that big joke when we thought at 25 we're going to be millionaires? You remember that? You remember that? I remember that. That was the first rude awakening of adult life that I got. Like, geez, where's my car? Where's the husband? Where are the 2 kids? Where is my white picket fence? This is definitely not the version of adult life I personally ordered. And I've been looking for a manager to come void this entire show because, wow, this is not it. And that's just one example, but adulthood is a continuous critiquing, validating of stuff that you originally believed. And this is most stuff that you formed as in adult life. What is success? What is intimacy? What is beautifulness? What is honor? All of these things, you think you know what they are, and you're so eager in coming into adult life, and adult life disproves them by virtue of how adulting is set up. Remember, adulting is reality testing. It's checking out reality for what it is. So for the first time, it's like you are out of the shelter of mom and dad, and out of the shelter of school rules. You have to figure out for yourself what is right and what is wrong, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, what is security, what is insecurity, what is good, what is bad. Whereas for a large part of your life, that was instructional. The school rules with this, the home rules with this, the social dynamics with this, and you didn't really have to independently navigate it on your own, not fully. Now please think of how isolating and how lonely adulting must be if for the first time it's you that must do this. And the whole point of this video is to pitch a self-forgiveness conversation for the versions of adulting that you got wrong, and understand why you got it wrong. Because you're ill-equipped, and you're doing your best to try, because that is what adulting is. It's testing out. And when you test things out, the consequences sometimes dire. Most adults are in a space of negotiating what is intimacy, what is romance, what is love, what is security in relationships. And I think you'll agree with me when I say, in that testing out, is the version I held from before really the true version? Hang on, it doesn't seem to be it. And you go try out one that seems to resonate with this new information that you now have. Pick up new partners, it doesn't really work. And you'd forgive yourself if you knew I was attempting to learn what being an adult means in the intimate space. Yes, it's sad now because you may have picked up a sexual infection from it. You may have come back with children out of wedlock and that wasn't your plan. Life may just be looking completely different to that version of yourself and that version of an adult you wanted to be. But this was a consequence of effort to figure out what kind of adult you want to be, because you're out of the childhood space and you kind of dropped into this swimming pool, and in your swimming you're gonna bump. It's a construction business. We're building the adult that you want to be, and the adult that you should be, and the adult that society accepts to be. These are just so many balls to juggle in the air, and some of them will fall onto your face. I know it's a bit of an ouch when you're like, how did I get here? This wasn't my route. Because you're figuring out what is smart, what is not smart. You weren't trying to land into the wrong profession, but in your attempts to figure it out, you will make the wrong choices. You will take the wrong degree. You will realize, smack bam in the middle of your job, that the version of success that you believed and were trained in is absolutely not what success is. And now you're in the middle of the show and you're like, wow, I did everything right. I did the course that smart people do. And then you realize that is actually not what success was all about. That is not what accomplishment was all about. That is not what satisfaction was all about. And this may make you feel like you're such an incompetent adult. And these are people that I want to address. People that think the dissonance of waking up to true reality makes them incompetent is not true. I want to disprove that right now. It's not true. You did nothing wrong. You're figuring out the facts from the fiction. And childhood is a lot of magic thinking. You just think that's how things work. That's how life should be. Moral people, good things should happen to them. Good person shouldn't encounter bad things. This is our childhood version. We believe we can estimate adulting, and we believe we can bargain with life that if I do more of this, the outcome should be that. And then you get to adult life and it's like, not quite. Not quite. You can influence life. You can even predict some parts of it, but that's all it is. It's influence. It's estimating probabilities. It's not cause and effect relationships. You overestimated how much control you've got over stuff. So you're gambling. When do I surrender? When do I try? How do I predict? What can I absolutely not predict? So waking up one day and thinking, hang on, you were a bit naive in your approach. Hang on, you overestimated how much control you actually have over the situation. Hang on, you went full on with the independence thing. You jumped from complete dependence and you were given independence because you're an adult now, and you completely took it overboard. But you didn't know what underboard and average is. You did the adulting that you thought was right. This is what we're doing as adults. It's an ongoing effort to dispute some data that we've got. Not out of choice, but because life itself is disproving it. You're starting to see other, not just home and church and school. You're starting to come across other adults and how differently they've lived. You have new data of options that you didn't know were on the table, that you suddenly are aware are on the table. The shock, the rude awakening, the brutality of the rug being pulled from under your feet. Of course you're gonna toss down. It's like I tucked it from under. While you were just thinking that my feet are steady, I know what this is all about. And adult life is that just pulls it from under your feet. And I don't want you to blame yourself if you landed face down when that happened. While you are building gradually, if the bricks fall on you, you're not stupid, you're not incompetent. Maybe you're confused, perplexed, slightly overwhelmed, but stupid isn't that. I don't think we should use incorrect vocabulary to describe our experiences. You're not stupid if you dated the wrong guy. You were renegotiating yourself in the intimate space, because the only example you had was the marriage of mom and dad. And then you went into adult life and you realized there's other versions of life and you were just trying to figure out the one that best fits you. I'm sorry you fell pregnant in that. And I'm sorry you contracted HIV from that. I'm sorry your first attempt at dating ended up being abusive. And I'm sorry you encountered a very big scar from it. You're not stupid for not having seen it coming. You're not an idiot for not having estimated it correctly. You're gonna get some of them right, you're gonna get some of them wrong, because that's exactly the task of adulting. Which one is okay, which one is not okay? Which one is good, and which one is bad? Which one works, which one doesn't work? Because for the first time, you are away from the supervision of being told by seniors and supervisors, and it's gonna have consequences. Some people walk away from it minimally scathed. Remember, also our childhoods are different and what informs them. So we're walking in with different levels of readiness. For some people, it's a completely naive game. For some people, their parenting was somewhat competent, that they learned a little here and there, that is protective gear from them, from the injuries of adulting. And some people, they're negotiating it for the first time. They've never seen men and women, or women and women. They've actually never seen a healthy interchange between people that are in an intimate space, and they're trying it out on them for the first time. They're the pilot project, and then the pilot goes south and you're like, yo, that was not what I was trying to do, So I'm hoping I'm initiating a forgiveness card towards the people that are just sitting here thinking, why am I in this job? I hate this job. How are other people getting the whole job satisfaction thing right? They've got a side hustle, they've got a satisfying career. Stuff is just happening, and I hate this job. And why am I here? Because you were testing out the version of success that you believed. You're coming into direct contrast with your definition and you're waking up to the reality that maybe you got it wrong. Someone else may think you failed. Again, you're that guy that fails all the time. And they may be saying to themselves, you are a failure. And adulting is saying, hang on, what do you mean you failed? Did you go too fast too soon? Of course it was going to fail. Then you're learning new adult lessons of sequence, uncertainty, ambiguity, waiting, processes. This is the adult in you collecting new facts. Whereas the child in you thought, I put this effort, the outcome was undesirable, so I failed. And adulting is learning that, did you? Or did you overestimate the control you had over it? Did you or did you ignore the processes that go into building that thing? Did it fail really? And then you're negotiating. You're changing your mind. That's what adulting is. Changing your mind. Learning new things. Unlearning old things. And in that process, some of them are going to collide. So if you made a wrong decision, you can remake the decision. And there is ways to better your odds at adulting, starting with self-forgiveness, the permission to get it wrong, the permission to estimate some things incorrectly, the permission to poorly estimate probabilities, but also the permission to get it right, the permission to learn better ways, the permission to redo. Adulting is a continuous game of validating stuff and invalidating stuff. And it's gonna hurt when you wake up to the true reality. And that's okay, that's how it should feel. So I hope I'm normalizing the dissonant experience. By its very nature, it's dissonant. If you're not in denial, you're gonna feel the dissonance. And the dissonance isn't permanent. We'll resolve dissonance eventually by leaning in and crystallizing a new reality. But at first, the old one has to go. A few have to be terminated, and a new one has to set in, and you will integrate. And give yourself time for that integration. Whatever, baking, whatever you do that requires mixing is forever rough in the beginning. And there's no timeline to this. Get on it. Give yourself the best shot at being the best version of yourself. Turn around if you're off course. Join the 2 courses to make 1 course. But you're going to have to test these things out. You unfortunately can't direct from the seats. And if you're in the game, then your ass is going to get kicked one time. That's just how it always happens. If you're really playing in the field, there's going to be injuries. But it's worth it. And you're worth it. And you're okay. There's nothing wrong with you. This is the message we're going to preach every day. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. Adulting is confusing, dissonant, hard, and painful. Adulting, that is what belongs to the adulting subgroup, not to you. You did nothing wrong. The thing is teaching you what it's all about. And I wish you the best in resolving it. And remember, you don't have to do it all alone. Pair up with some adults. Dependable, honest people, be it therapists, mentors, life coaches, good friends. There's things that increase the odds. And during this journey of traveling back to okay, we'll discuss ways that we can increase the odds of adulting. But adulting by its nature is dissonant. It's confusing. It's hard. And therefore, if you're feeling all of these things, then you're perfectly normal and you're perfectly okay. See you soon.